It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Thanks for joining me this morning for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show, where we talk about housing here in the Low Country. We talk about your real estate needs. This is an educational program designed to help you become aware of what's going on in our market. I kind of help you understand things from an agent's perspective. Talk a lot about what I experience on a day-to-day basis as somebody that's been, I was thinking about this morning, actually. This is my 11th year in this business, and I'm 32, by the way. So really, it's all I've ever done. It's all my family has ever done. I come from a real estate family, and I've had a lot of discussions recently about kind of my upbringing and why I chose to get into real estate and the roller coaster ride that it's been over the past 11 years. And I got to tell you, I'm having so much fun, and I will continue to have so much fun in this industry. It's my love, it's my passion. I also get to work within it. So for those of you that are listening, this is your first time tuning in. It's where we talk about the market. We talk about the processes involved with buying, selling, investing in real estate. So if you'd like to call into the studio, I'm taking calls this morning. The number here is 843-556-1250. That's 843-556-1250. Feel free to call in with your questions, your comments, your concerns, your complaints, and we'll be happy to talk about real estate with you. If you want to have a discussion with me off air, there's something that you'd like to discuss with me privately, you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or you just have a general knowledge question, it's, no need to have to do something in real estate. Maybe just have a question. Maybe say, hey, Brian, I need a good contractor. Who do you know? Feel free to call me personally. I'm happy to answer those kinds of questions. And of course, I'm here to earn your business. My cell phone number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. A lot of good information on there. Every previous episode of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show is on that website. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a home, of course, more information about me, what I've got for sale, what I've sold, and of course, the 2.4% commission to sell your house, which we are still honoring through the end of the year. Even if you're thinking about selling next year, if you give me a call this year, I'll work with you on that. I'll still offer that 2.4% commission. So listingsincharleston.com or 345-1273. And again, if you have a question, the number here in the studio is 843-556-1250. So let me give you an idea of what I want to talk about over the next hour, because I've got several things that I want to cover, but I'm going to spend the majority of my time talking about the process of selling a home and buying a home. Making an offer on a property contingent upon the sale of your house. Not everybody has the luxury of buying a home without having to sell theirs first. And so I want to talk about this process, and I want to talk about it start to finish, and I want to give you some things to understand from both the agent's side and then, of course, the buyer's perspective and the seller's perspective. A little later on, we're going to talk about how to structure some of those contracts, some of the things you need to watch out for, some of the things you can put in place, some options that you have that you might not have thought about. We're going to talk about communication. Such an important thing in this industry, yet so many people struggle with communication. I want to talk about what really good communication looks like before, during, and after the sale from the agent's perspective, from the client's perspective, whether you're buying or selling. So I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to take a few minutes at the very end of my show, and I'm going to use it as kind of some personal time because I have some things that I'm trying to do. I'm growing my business. We're having a fantastic year. Looks like we're going to close out the year with about 175 properties sold, our best year ever. And we don't have very many agents on the team, so it's a very highly productive office that I run. And we need some help. So I want to talk about that and talk about a few other things toward the tail end of the program here. But let's get right into it. Let's talk about this process of selling your home and buying and adding all of these contingencies to the contract and safeguards so that you don't wind up homeless. So if you think about the time of year, now is really a critical time for sellers. They've been on the market for several months. Many of them thought they'd be sold by now. Many of them don't really want to take their home off the market for the next few months, but a lot of their agreements are getting ready to expire because a lot of real estate agents write listing agreements to expire on December 31st. That's just, a good standard date. And you could ask 100 agents, and 99% of them will say that if they have the option of writing a listing agreement, it's going to be through the end of the year. So right around this time of the year, sellers are trying to figure out what they want to do. Do they keep their home on the market through the holidays and in the winter months, or do they take it off and do they put it on the market again in the spring when everybody else does? That's what they've been coached to do. It's what agents say is the best thing to do for them. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. And I'm going to tell you why for a few reasons throughout this next two segments. But let's think about this process from both sides of the coin here. Let's think about it from the buyer's perspective first, right? And again, if you have questions, you want to talk to me about something real estate related as it relates to this specific topic, give me a call in the studio. I'm here to take your calls and answer your questions, 843-556-1250. But if you're a buyer, you've got less options this time of year. Not a lot of new inventory is hitting the market, so a lot of what you're looking at is kind of older. There's nothing new hitting the market, or not nothing, but there are very few new properties hitting the market that really get you excited. Which, by the way, sellers, if you're listening, that's your opportunity. We've put several homes my team and I have put several homes on the market in the past 2 weeks. We already have buyers lined up for almost all of them. There are buyers out there ready to buy homes. It's just that people don't necessarily put their home on the market this time of year. So buyers are, in essence, kind of forced to wait. Anyways, I don't want to get off topic here because we are going to talk about sellers in this process here. But maybe a buyer's been watching a property and kind of waiting for it to drop their price. Maybe you, as a buyer, made an offer on a property a few months ago and they rejected it because they thought it wasn't good enough or because they thought they'd be able to sell it for more. And now they're still on the market. So before the sellers take their home off the market, now is the time, in my opinion, to get a little aggressive with your offer, especially if they've been on the market for a little while. This could come in the form of offering a lower price. You could ask for closing costs. You could get them to agree to a home sale contingency, which is really what we're talking about right now, or a variety of other things. But they usually won't agree to some or all of those things in the really hot months, spring through fall. So now, in my opinion, is a great time to get a good deal on a property or to get them to agree to some of your contingencies. If you need to sell your home before you buy one, now might be a good time for them to look at that. And I'll tell you that it's already shaping up this way, and I love selling real estate in December. We have, for the past, I don't know how many years, several years, probably 6 years, December has been probably one of my top 3 best months in sales, consistently. And it's because people that are out there that are looking to buy a home are serious, for the most part. People that are looking to sell their home and remain on the market are serious, for the most part. What happens, however, is that agents have been busting their tails all year, and this is their time to take a break. So for me, this is the easiest time of the year to gain market share. I don't stop working. In fact, it is so much easier for me to just maintain my same pace and sell a bunch more real estate because a lot of agents are asleep at the wheel right now. So for those that are thinking about making a move in real estate, I am here to tell you that December can be a busy month. You just have to align yourself with an agent that's going to go to work for you. So going back to buyers for a second, if you make an offer on one of these properties that's been on the market for a while, or that is just listed, it doesn't really matter. If you make an offer contingent upon the sale of your home, as long as your home, the home that you're going to sell, is in good condition and it's priced right and it's marketed well, you're likely going to sell your home an overwhelmingly high percentage of the time in this market. So if you're a seller and you're thinking about this, we have to think about things from a few different perspectives. If you're going to take your home off the market for a few months, what's the harm in accepting an offer contingent upon the sale of the buyer's home? If you're a seller, you're going to take your home off the market anyways, might as well just lock up a contract and give these buyers a little bit of time to sell their home. It's not like you're going to have a ton of showings anyways, because you're going to be shown as active contingent in the MLS. But now might be a fantastic time to consider that home sale contingency if you're a seller when you really weren't interested in doing it several months ago, when you thought you were going to sell your home. Now, if you need to sell your home, which is obviously a good percentage of the sellers that are still on the market right now, you need to be very careful about accepting an offer contingent upon the buyer selling their home. And you need to ask yourself several questions. You need to know, how much are they going to list their home for if it's not on the market? Do they have a specific time in mind to put their home on the market, put it under contract, and sell it? Is that broken down in the contract to buy your home? In other words, is there some accountability with regard to the home the buyer is going to be selling? And what happens if it doesn't sell? What happens to the earnest money? Are there things built into the contract that discuss that? Do they have to make some sort of price reduction schedule every 2, 3, 4 weeks? I think that's a fantastic idea. I always push for that when I'm representing a seller and someone makes me an offer contingent upon them selling their own home. Yeah, we'll take your offer, but you've got to be diligent about pursuing a sale on your own home. I'm not going to lock up this house for 3 months and take it off the market for you to put your home on the market for a pie-in-the-sky number and it not sell, and then we've just wasted 3 months. Does the home need any work before it goes on the market? Is there a kick-out clause, which is probably the most important thing if you're a seller? And I'll very quickly explain it because we need to take a break, but a kick-out clause says that when you make an offer on a property and you have to sell your home first, a kick-out clause means that if another buyer comes along and they make an offer on the same property, but they do not have a home to sell, you have usually between 48 and 72 hours to remove your home sale contingency and buy this home without selling yours, or you get kicked out of the process. From a seller's perspective, that's one of the best things you can have on your side in your contract because that's how you're protected. That's what gives you the opportunity to continue to market your home. And if you find a better offer or an offer that can close quicker because they don't have a home to sell, you can kick that contingency offer out of the way. We're going to keep talking about this. I have a lot more ground I want to cover, and I want to hear from you. If you have questions, give me a call. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Don't hesitate to call. The number here in the studio, 843-556-1250. And of course, if you want to talk to me privately about your real estate needs, my cell phone number is 843-345-1273. And my website is listingsincharleston.com. Stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Find Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and I am live in the studio taking your calls this morning. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, a story you want to tell about real estate in general, the number here in the studio is 843-556-1250. 843-556-1250. Now, if you want to talk to me off air, you have a real estate question, you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, feel free to give me a call on my cell phone. That number is 843-345-1273, 345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about, who I am, what I do, what I sell, what I've sold. And of course, if you're thinking about selling your home, we're still doing that 2.4% listing commission. And I have that local lender I've partnered with that will pay up to 1% of the purchase price, not to exceed $5,000 toward your closing costs when a buyer purchases your home, or I should say, and when you go to buy your own replacement home. So a lot of different ways to save money on my team. Just give me a call. We'll explain to you how all that works. And, again, number is 843-345-1273. That's my cell, and my website is listingsincharleston.com. So I want to continue this discussion about helping people kind of navigate the process of buying a home but needing to sell there first. Do they list now? Do they list after they put something under contract? a lot of questions. And this is what I spend a lot of my time doing, is just helping people get through this process. We really talk about what their threshold is for risk, what they want to have accomplished, when do they want to have it accomplished by, what are their expectations, what are the expectations that they should know about the market, and how can I help them? So, the biggest concern I think a lot of people have in agreeing to list a property without finding a new property, of course, is that they don't know where they're going. They haven't found that replacement property, so they're hoping, they're trusting, they're praying that once they put their home on the market and they put it under contract, that they can find something that's suitable for them to move into. So a lot of people have a lot of heartburn about that. So we talk through that process. And, unless you're either okay with renting a space for a while or have someone you can stay with, most people like the idea of identifying an area and at the very minimum, some homes that they would be interested in before they decide to sell. And some want to find the house they want to buy before they'll sell their home. I mean, to them, they have no interest whatsoever in selling unless they can buy what they want to buy. And I was in that position on my most recent real estate transaction. I had just finished renovating my home, and we did a lot of work to it. Things that were probably a little unnecessary, like we replaced all the windows and we put a new roof on it, even though it didn't really need it, but we figured we'd be there for a while, so we might as well. And then this house came up, and it was perfect. It was incredibly underpriced. It was a for sale by owner that we just couldn't pass up. And so we decided to buy it, and we bought it without selling our home. And we stayed in a short-term rental, which was a 2-bedroom condo on the 3rd floor with a 5-month-old daughter, with no elevator. And, obviously things could have been worse, but in the heat of the summer with a 5-month-old going up and down those stairs and carrying all your stuff up and down, it wasn't easy, but it was worth it. And I understand that not everybody's in that position. A lot of them have to sell their home before they buy something, but not all of you do. And so that's a nice thing that you can do for yourself, obviously, if you're willing to assume that level of risk. For me, I had a high level of confidence that I could sell my home. I mean, if I can't sell my own home, what in the world would I be doing on this radio program? But, others need to sell, and it could be that they're buying a new home for a variety of reasons. They're getting married, they've got a growing family, they're empty nesters, they're approaching retirement, they got a new job, maybe they lost their job, you name it. The house they have no longer works for them and they need to sell. So how do people get over this fear of selling their property without finding something else to buy first? Let's talk about that for a little bit. So I think that you should start by interviewing and hiring a real estate agent that can help you come up with a game plan. And again, if you have something you'd like to say about this topic, you've got a story you'd like to share, you've got a question you'd like to ask, feel free to give me a call. 843-556-1250 is the number here in the studio. But start by interviewing and hire a real estate agent that can help you develop a game plan. It doesn't cost you anything to have us help you strategize. By the way, that's called earning the business. Let us earn our commission by demonstrating our value. So many people just jump right into going to look at properties and registering on a bunch of websites for home valuation reports or looking at homes they want to go and take a look at. And then the next thing you know, they're getting bombarded by phone calls and emails and text messages and people showing up at your house all because you put your information in on a website. So in my mind, it's a heck of a lot easier to identify one real estate agent that can help you with this process and then save yourself all that hassle. The thing with going with the first agent that you meet is that that's actually what happens the majority of the time. If you look at statistics from the National Association of Realtors, more than 50% of the time, people just go with the first agent that they meet that seems to know what they're talking about because they say, hey, you know what? These guys seem good enough, so we'll just go with them. It may or may not be the right choice for you. And just because they were in the right place at the right time and they've got a great shot of earning your business doesn't necessarily mean that that is what you should do. They're there to get your business simply by being present. And there's this old saying in real estate that you don't have to be the best, you just have to be there as it relates to real estate. You don't have to be the best real estate agent in town, you just have to be the person that's there. And because people choose the first agent they meet, more often than not, all you got to do is be there. But I tell you that a lot of people really kind of have put so much value into convenience that at times it can hurt them. Let's say you're on a diet and you're trying to lose weight. And you call up your wife, like my wife and I do every day. I'm sure every married couple does this, by the way. You call your wife or you call your husband and you say, hey, honey, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you have in mind? You just go back and forth. You never get anywhere unless, you've figured it out beforehand. But if you're on a diet and you say, you know what? I'm tired. Let's just do Chick-fil-A. I'll just pick up some Chick-fil-A. Like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Even though you're trying to lose weight, Chick-fil-A isn't the right thing for you. It's the same thing, in essence, as choosing a real estate agent just because they're there, just because it's convenient. So don't put the same value on the agent that's there than a potential agent that you would interview, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So I really think you need to interview that agent. Interview being the key word. Ask them the tough questions. Make sure that they know what they're talking about. If you don't get a really good sense from them that they can quarterback this process for you, there's a lot that can go wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy. So if they're not on their A game, if they don't answer your questions in its entirety and make you feel comfortable about that process, I think you need to keep looking. I think you need to find another real estate agent to at least interview. The other thing I want to mention is that you need to understand that it's hard for buyers to get offers accepted contingent upon the sale of their home if their home isn't even on the market yet. Thinking about it from the seller's perspective, they might say something like, all right, well, hold on. I've had my home on the market for 5 months. And I'm finally just now getting an offer, but it's contingent upon the buyer selling their home, and it's not even on the market yet. You can see where that's going. You can see the trepidation among some of these sellers to take their home off the market and agree to a contract when you haven't even started. So I think in most instances, it does bode well for the buyer to go ahead and put their home on the market. There are several things you can do to protect yourself. So let's talk about that for just a second. If you're a seller, if you've decided that you're going to move, you're going to buy something else, but you need to sell your home first, I'll tell you what, the majority of people do is they list their home. And so understand a few things here. You have to understand your options. Number one, you don't have to accept any offers. I mean, technically speaking, if someone makes you a full price cash offer with no contingencies and they give you everything you want, does it really make sense not to take that offer and kind of figure it out afterwards? It's up to you, but it's your right. The second thing you can do is you can do an extended closing. You can say, hey, my home's on the market, but I need 90 days for closing, or I need 100 and something days for closing. We do this all the time, by the way, when our clients are building a new home and we're not entirely sure how long that process is going to take, but they need to sell their home, so we'll put their home on the market and we'll just say, hey, we need an extended closing. So when you're showing this property, tell these buyers that we can't close in 3 weeks. We need like 3 months. And that filters down the buyers that we show the property to, and usually it works out very, very well. You just have to set the right expectations. So you can do an extended closing as another option. A third option would be a sale with a leaseback. Somebody can come and make you an offer, and you can close on your property, and then you can just rent it from the new owner for a few weeks or a few months, which prevents you from having to move twice, which is one of the biggest headaches in the world. And it's something that obviously people try to avoid, and it's very easily accomplished by doing a sale with a leaseback. So there's a third option. A fourth option would be selling your property contingent upon finding a suitable replacement property within a certain amount of time. So you put your home on the market and you put in the agent notes, which only real estate agents can see in the MLS, by the way. And you say, sale is going to be contingent upon sellers identifying a suitable replacement property within, X amount of days, 15 days, 30 days, whatever the case is. But that gives you the ability to put your home on the market, accept an offer, and then you've got a certain amount of time to go and find something to buy. And if you don't, you just get out of the deal. How sweet is that? And then the fifth option would be to, put a home under contract and lease it while you're waiting for your home to sell. That way, again, you prevent the scenario of moving twice. So there's a bunch of different ways you can skin this cat. I mean, there really are. You can you can employ several different strategies here, but the trick here, the key is to communicate, to understand your options that fit you and your plan. So if that's something that I can help you with, I know I've given you a lot of information here. There's a lot that you can sort through. I'm going to put this on my website starting Monday. If you want to listen to it again, you're more than welcome to, but it'd be much easier if you just call me and I can help you through this process. And again, you don't have to be selling your home right now or buying a home right now. If you just have general knowledge questions, that's what I'm here for. It's how I run my business, by being helpful to people. So feel free to give me a call on my cell phone. That number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Remember, if you're going to sell your home with my team, 2.4% listing commission. We also have that lender that will pay up to $5,000 of the closing costs for your buyer that purchases your home, and then for you when you go buy a home. So here to help you save some money. So stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk about communication. What does really, really good communication between an agent and a buyer or seller look like? We're going to discuss that when we come back right here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. 1250 WTMA. Expert news and views on the Low Country real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. We just talked about, we took about 30 minutes and we talked about the process of selling a home and then buying another. You want to buy a home, but you have to sell yours first. How do you go about that process? How do you protect yourself? If you missed that, if there are portions of it that you didn't get to because you were switching on between stations, then first of all, shame on you. But secondly, feel free to give me a call. I'm happy to walk through that process with you, whether you're thinking of doing it soon or just at some point in the future. There's a lot of moving parts there. So make sure you talk with an agent that really understands it and can navigate you through that process effectively. My cell phone number is 843-345-1273. And of course, my website, listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about who I am and what I do and what I've sold and my 2.4% listing commission, all that good stuff. Previous episodes of this program on listingsincharleston.com. And we've got about 20 minutes left. Haven't heard from anybody yet, but if you're thinking about calling in, you have a question, there's no question too silly, no question too generic, or a comment or a story. Love to hear from you here in the studio, taking your calls. The number here is 843-556-1250, 843-556-1250. So I want to talk next about communication, something that our industry really, really does struggle with in a very bad way. We've become so reliant upon technology, not just as an industry, but just as a society of people that we really have gotten away from just talking to people. Everything is, not everything, but the majority of things these days seem to be done through email or text. And I was talking to some of my agents in my office. I've got a team of about 15 people that I run. And, some of the new folks that had recently been hired said, Brian, how did you get to this point? How did you go from being a single agent that was 21 years old? You got licensed in 2006. The market basically crashed in 2008, but by 2009, you were in the top 1% of agents, which is where I've stayed ever since. How did you do that? And I would say, first of all, I really did have a bit of an advantage in that. I come from a real estate family. I have been around real estate my entire life. It's something that I understood at a very early age, just by watching my dad run a company that my grandfather started. And that was one of my favorite things, aside from playing baseball, was just going and watching dad go to work. It was fascinating to me. And my father has this incredible ability when he speaks to really captivate his audience. It's like listening to poetry whenever my dad talks. And so he's certainly an idol of mine and someone that I try to emulate in my own business, but he got to where he was, and I've gotten to where I am by doing something very simple, yet something that a lot of people struggle with, and that's communicate. Getting back to just the art of selling. I remember when I first got into this business, how much different it was then than it is now. And that was 11 years ago. I've been licensed. This is my 11th year now. We didn't have follow-up campaigns. We didn't have automated emails that would be sent out once you got to my website and you looked at a few properties. Some of these websites are so incredibly intense now. Let me tell you that I use a system where if you register on one of my websites, or if you go to Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com or any of these websites and you put in your email address and your phone number because you want more information, I have a system. As soon as we get your email address, the system, I don't do any of this, the system will take your email address and it'll automatically search all forms of social media. And when it comes to my dashboard, when you submit a lead and it comes to my dashboard, I pull up that lead on my computer and I get to see your Facebook profile picture or your LinkedIn profile picture. I get to know how old you are, what your interests are. Your phone number gets verified. Your email address gets verified. It's incredible. And I know that sounds creepy, by the way. I get that. But the technology is out there. Didn't used to be that way, obviously. So for me, communication, yes, it's about using those systems, those tools, those processes, using the digital age. It's what I'm very well known for in this community of just people, I suppose, is my ability to market, my understanding of kind of new age marketing. All right, so that's a very, very big strength of mine. However, I couple it with the fact that people want to hear from you. People want to have a conversation with you. There's a lot that gets lost in translation between email and text messages. So I frankly prefer to talk to people on the phone, especially when we're talking about something as important as buying or selling a house. So I wanted to take just a little bit of time and kind of give you an idea of what effective communication to me really looks like. And you're starting to see this more and more now, but I have it's written into my listing agreement. It's in writing. The seller sign it, I sign it, and it's a communication guarantee. And it states that if I'm not in touch with you at least once per week from the time we list until the time we sell, you can fire me into a questions asked, no money owed. And I'm serious about that. And it's really just to help people obtain peace of mind that I have my feet to the fire. There's accountability attached to this idea that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. There's a penalty if I don't. A lot of real estate agents operate their business without penalties. So I think that's incredibly important. I think that needs to become the standard for a lot more people because communication is such a big problem and it gives our industry kind of a bad name. But what does really good communication look like? If you're a seller, let's talk first about, before the listing even goes on the market. I think that the real estate agent really needs to do a good job of setting the right expectation about the market and about the process before it even begins. Things like pricing and condition and marketing, what to expect. And then sellers, you need to be honest with your agent about what you expect out of the process. What do you need to sell your home for? What are your expectations from your agent? What do you need in order to feel satisfied in this process? I think you need to set some standards and discuss measures of accountability. If you say you're going to do something, when can I expect to get it done? And what happens if it doesn't? Now, the majority of that falls on the agent, but let's say it's the seller and we walk through the home and the seller says, yeah, I'm going to get these things done and repaired. And then you just kind of don't. And buyers continually mention it in feedback, yet you still don't fix it. I mean, is that something that should be on the agent's shoulders to say, hey, we discussed this. People are bringing it up. It's impacting our ability to sell the property. Are you going to fix this or not? At some point, and this sounds harsh, but there have been times where I have let sellers go because they're just not willing to do what I think is needed to be done to sell the property. And let's be honest, there have been some sellers that have let me go because maybe I was more motivated to sell than they were, or because they said, hey, you know what, Brian, you're a good agent, but we don't want to sell our home right now. And you're trying to make us sell our home too much. Oh, I'm sorry. That's, I guess, my job, right? But anyways, every once in a while, you just get one of those personality clashes and it doesn't quite work out. And that's just the law of numbers. I mean, I've done 1,000 transactions. You're going to run into a few people every once in a while that just don't, they're just not on the same wavelength. But if you're a seller, I think one of the big things is this. You really need to trust your agent and the fact that they have your best interests in mind and rely on their judgment. If something doesn't feel right when you're interviewing that agent, you need to first and foremost really be able to have an upfront discussion with them about your concerns. And if you still don't feel like they have your best interests at heart, interview another agent before you sign that contract and get locked into something with that agent, because you just don't know who you're going to get involved with. A lot of agents have really practiced their marketing pitch. They put on a good show. I think there are several agents in town that are fairly well known for giving a great pitch, but not really having very good follow through, which is a shame, but it is what it is. So if you're a seller, just be cognizant of that. And while you're on the market, you need to be looking for market adjustments. A lot of people tend to discuss price when they list the home, but then they don't really talk about the market afterwards. They're just talking about feedback and showings and marketing. The markets are ever changing. You need to keep an eye on what's going on there. So you need to talk about the markets. You need to talk about feedback. What are people saying about your house? Is that something that you should put some stock into or not? Are there things you can change or not? If someone doesn't like your layout, sorry, unless you're willing to knock down some walls, probably nothing you can do about that. But if they don't like your hot pink kitchen and your green cabinets, well, then maybe you can do something about that. I think you need to talk about the response to marketing. A lot of people focus on the showings that they do get, and they don't necessarily focus on the showings they're not getting. And that's a very hard conversation to have between an agent and a seller. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to go to Tim in Mount Pleasant. Tim, you with us?
Hello.
Hey, Tim, how are you? Thanks for calling in.
Great. Yeah, listen, I'm real estate appraiser. I just, you started talking about comparables and similar properties, and I just wanted to say that if a real estate agent comes in and they start talking about the price in this neighborhood is $240 per square foot, you might want to, move on to the next agent. That's just a terrible way to price a home. You need to look at the most similar home to that. The land values and the size of the home make the cost per square foot vary wildly.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the tax assessor figures your taxes. He assigns a cost per square foot for the lot and a cost per square foot for the house, and there's a mass appraisal on the whole neighborhood. A mass appraisal is not going to give you an accurate indication of what the value of your home is or what the price to sell it should be.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, there are so many agents out there that will just, this is what they'll do. They'll print off everything that's sold in the past 6 months. They'll run a CMA, and then they'll come to that seller and say, hey, here's the average price per square foot in your neighborhood. And your home's in great condition, so we can probably ask a little more than that. It's absolutely right in that's a 100% incorrect way to price a property. Look at things that are most comparable, make individual adjustments for what those homes did or didn't have in comparison to the subject property. Look at the lot size, so on and so forth, and come up with a price accordingly. Correct?
Correct. I bet you don't have very much problems with appraisals.
No, I don't. My listings sell for 98% of asking price, so that's one of the things that you pick up over time.
Yeah, exactly. When Beatty Sue tells me that the cost per square footage in this neighborhood is $248, I know automatically. I know that we got issues.
Yep. I will tell you, too, though, that, Tim, while I've got you, earlier in the year, when prices were going up fairly rapidly in some of these areas, especially in areas where comps are really tough, it's not a new construction neighborhood where everything's pretty much the same. Appraisals were tricky because you had the issue of sellers kind of playing leapfrog with pricing. Not a lot had sold, but people kept increasing the list price compared to other active properties.
Exactly.
And it made it very challenging to really assess the true fair market value of the property.
I had too many conversations where, I'm all for you, man. If you'll give me a 2,200 square foot home in that neighborhood that sold for $450,000, I'll use it as a comparable.
Mm-hmm.
Not an active. Give me a sale.
Right.
And what they've done is there's 5 actives that are priced like that, but nothing sold because they're all overpriced. But the other thing about an increasing market is the bank is very they want to see absolute proof.
Yep.
It's an increasing market, and you need to have great statistics, or they're not going to let me do a market adjustment. But the other thing is that I'm looking at 3 to 6 months back to do an appraisal. When you're looking at what's selling and what the neighborhood is doing, and it may be increasing, then we're looking in the front view mirror, and I'm looking in the rear view mirror.
Right.
You're looking through the windshield, and I'm looking through the rear view mirror, and that can cause issues as well. So you need to take in consideration what has sold, and hopefully it's recent, and you've got recent comps. And if there's a 6% increase in the neighborhood, then you can do market adjustments, and that market adjustment is done by calculating the amounts 6% times 200,000 divided by 12 times 3 months if it sold 3 months ago.
Yep.
So, in doing that, that's also going to give you an idea. And, hey, if you've done that and you tell the appraiser that, it looked like to me that there's a 6% increase. And MLS has a great tool. It's the statistical market analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we use. It's designed exactly like the form that is the appraisal for the market analysis.
Yeah. And, we use it often.
Yeah.
Tim, I appreciate you calling in. I do need to take a quick break. But a lot of good information. Obviously, I agree with everything you said. And, the weight of a real estate agent, the value of a real estate agent really does come in pricing a property correctly. So when we come back, we're going to talk about just a few more things here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Few minutes left in the program. I always do like to take just a little bit of time every program and say thank you to those of you that listen to this program and rely on its information to help you learn more about this market and educate yourself in this process of buying, selling, or investing in real estate. It's a pleasure to be on this program. Starting January, it will be my 5th year of doing this. As of October, I've been selling real estate for 11 years, and it's been a really awesome ride. But over the past 4 years, I've gone from being a single agent, kind of doing everything myself, to now having a team of 15 people. And, in real estate, things usually take about 45 days to sell, meaning everything we put under contract at this point really goes toward 2017. Unless, of course, we get one of those little Christmas miracles, a.k.a. a cash buyer, that can close quickly. We're really kind of ramping up for 2017 at this point. And I do want to say that I am hiring. I have a need for a few different positions. We really are doing a good job for a lot of people. We're getting a lot of people that are hiring us to help them throughout the process. And I am forward thinking the hires that I'm going to need so that my clients never feel the impact, so that we're never too busy to take care of the people that hire us to do what we say we're going to do, which is help them buy or sell a home. So I do have some administrative needs. I do have some full-time real estate agent needs. I do also have it's kind of a blend. It's called an inside sales agent. Essentially, you're on the phone making calls all day, setting up appointments for my team, which is a paid position plus bonuses, plus some commissions here and there. So if you're interested in any of that, I'd like for you to give me a call, 843-345-1273. You can also go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Just, shoot me an email or you go to my website and go to the contact page and shoot me a little something saying, hey, Brian, I heard you talking about the fact that you're hiring. Would like to talk to you about that more to learn a little bit more about the position or positions that are available. And then I'll also say this, we have I'll be honest, we have a huge database of people that will be going on the market in the next 60 to 90 days. So we have a ton of upcoming listings. If you're a buyer and you're looking at purchasing in the next few months, contact me before you decide to do anything, because we have listings that nobody else knows about because they're going to work with us to sell their home. Now, sellers, same thing goes for buyers. If you're thinking about putting your home on the market, we might already have a buyer for you. So feel free to reach out to me if you'd like more information on that. We'd love to help you strategize with regard to helping you buy or sell a home in 2017. I can be reached at 843-345-1273, or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Remember, 2.4% commission to help you sell your home. And thank you very much for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.